So, most important thing is your resume. The second are the skills that you've cultivated over time or that you've been able to hone, right? That's the biggest asset in the corporate world, right? No one really cares about if you have a degree or not per se. It's what you can do. Once they know that you can give results, then you're in the door.
Tell me about Joshua Franklin and then, yeah, great. Why you moved into the HR?
Joshua Franklin is, first of all, a Christian. I'm also revolutionary, and I believe in the embodiment and articulation of the African struggle. What drives me is to give people hope that they can be better, even when they don't have what they think they should have, right? From an early age, I've always been different in terms of the way that I see things. And the earliest inclinations that I had towards management was via a football simulation game. I was responsible for managing a team and achieving set objectives. And doing that was fun. So when it came time to pick a career path, what I would be doing, I asked myself, what would give the semblance of managing a football team? Because I really enjoyed managing, right? And I stumbled across human resources, and we've been on that journey since. And it's still fun.
So, let me quickly jump in. Let me quickly jump in there. Like, what moved you into the HR? Like, why did you like HR?
Would I say it was an intuition? Well, the environment that I grew up in was very, very dynamic and business oriented, So I started out working in operations, and I got to understand the nitty-gritty of running a business outside, inside, managing vendors, contracts, essentially managing or management has always come across to me in a very, very different way, and I really enjoy it.
All right, great. So, what would you say are some of the biggest challenges you faced? Building up yourself and growing, being able to speak with a lot of firms.
My biggest challenge was myself, not anyone else, not any external, any external situation, right? Being able to rouse yourself, being able to do what you don't want to do, discipline, commitment. And so the joy of all that when I look back now is seeing how far it has brought me and the dividends it's paying now, So I think for everyone out there that's listening to me, you have to overcome yourself. You are your biggest obstacle, your biggest opponent.
What steps did you take in overcoming those challenges?
I was brutally honest with myself. And one other practical thing that I did is that I began to aim. I began to envision who I could be. I began to see myself in a certain way. And so my perception of myself changed. And with that, the results started to come. The desired effects that I wanted started to happen. So, yeah.
So, basically, I presume that, yes, you were truthful to yourself, but there was something that made you see the fact that something was not right. Like, I want to know what that thing is. What goes to the point where you kind of see like, okay, something is not right about my life. I need to align with my vision. I need to, align with my purpose. I need to What was that thing?
I wasn't capitalizing on my potential. I was drifting, doing all sorts of things that I wasn't supposed to be doing, and it didn't add up, right? So that's when I had to sit myself down and say, you know what, this is what you can do, this is what you can be, you have to go for it. Yeah, and that's what I did.
Great. So frankly now, you've been with HR Leverage now, I think close to, is it up to 2 years now? Or just a year? A little over a year. So what have you seen as some giant strides you've made with them, and what are the challenges you have faced working with them, HR Leverage?
It's a little over a year. Giant strides. Okay, one giant stride I would say I've made is in terms of my capacity, because at HR Leverage is a multinational consulting firm, right? And we manage a lot of employees. So I would say my capacity has increased in terms of the responsibility that I now have, in terms of training, in terms of recruitment, in terms of handling expatriates. Currently, I think I manage close to 200 to 300 employees alongside my colleagues, right? So my capacity has definitely increased. My technical know-how has also increased in terms of managing spontaneous situations that arise in the day-to-day activities of business. One challenge, I don't think I have any challenge. My line manager is fantastic. She's great, and so she's someone that if you don't know how to do something, she comes alongside you and helps you through it, shows you how to do it. So I haven't really encountered challenges per se, as of yet.
All right. Then about skills, what are the specific skills you're looking for? Is it just their talent, their technical talent alone, or what other skills should they have?
So, firstly, I look at the CV, right? Because from your CV, I can tell a lot of things. I can tell if you're someone that pays attention to details. I can tell if you are, responsible for your professional advancement. I can tell if you're even a good fit for the culture, right? So you have to be able to put yourself together well enough. You need to be functional in terms of the role that you're applying for. Not that we give you the role and then you come in and you start struggling and we have to train. No. So most important thing is your resume. The second are the skills that you've cultivated over time or that you've been able to hone, right? That's the biggest asset in the corporate world, right? No one really cares about if you have a degree or not per se. It's what you can do. Once they know that you can give results, then you're in the door. Potential is also very important, and potential is a very vital portion of talent acquisition strategy, right? How good can this person be between now and 3 years?
Right, that's interesting. Okay, great. So for the question of the day, how can someone view the high performance work culture?
Well, there's several of them. One of them is learn how to break the ice. You see, we underestimate the effect of communication, So learn how to break the ice is essentially an idea that puts the onus on management to encourage social relationships within the workspace. We are going to spend a considerable amount of time working. If you want to get technical about it, we're going to spend a third of our lives working. Where I currently work, I have a very good friend Yomade, right? And we've done so much together in terms of work. And that relationship has helped us both. Professionally, we are better. And so more organizations should allow for social relationships and not just come, do your work and go. If people cannot relate anything other than come in, execute operational tasks, go, they won't stay. They won't perform to their best levels. They need to be invested, not just aligned with organizational objectives, but they really need to be invested in their roles in the organization. Another thing that businesses can do is to manage performance through separate channels. So for your listeners, I know that some of them might have experienced it because I know I have, that performance management often becomes vindictive rather than objective. Do you understand? Your line manager comes and he'll tell you, don't worry, performance management is coming. You'll see yourself. Right? And that takes away from whatever it is that the employee was supposed to do or become in terms of potential. Right? Another thing is using bonuses to get people out of work, right? If someone is due a bonus, regardless of their performance, pay them. Don't say, oh, we're not going to pay you this bonus because your performance is not. No. At that point in time, that employee could be going through one thing or the other that has impacted, their output for that particular task that they were given. And management needs to understand. There's a lot of pressure that management faces, but management needs to understand. If management is chesting 10 times the strain on the individual employee is also a lot, right? Another thing that can be done is to encourage participation through ideation, right? There needs to be an open door policy. A lot of organizations say they have open door policies, but in reality, they don't. They don't take ideas on board. One of the reasons why publishers, non-fiction, fiction, the publishing companies are so successful is everyone that works in that setting contributes in terms of idea. Do you understand? So their talent acquisition strategy is built around people that can think creatively and contribute ideas to the book. You get what I'm saying? So they are not just aligned on operational issues. They are aligned up here. And the vision is clear. Another thing is to discourage dependency and encourage autonomy. You want to discourage dependency on a particular person in the team or line manager, such that if the line manager is not around, work does not get done. That's not okay. The team will suffer. Everyone needs to be able to perform. You need to encourage autonomy because autonomy impacts intrinsic motivation. That's internal motives, right? If you say, oh, you are responsible for this. I just got a message this morning telling me I'm responsible for a new task. I'm motivated to do it because now I'm responsible and I have to give results. I like results. I don't like excuses. So, allow employees to handle tasks. Trust them. Show faith. It's just like you planting a flower in the garden. It doesn't bloom in one day. Organizations also need to let everyone know that their work matters. just because I'm a driver and I drive the pool car doesn't mean I don't matter to the organization. I was going to answer your question on HR and tech team, right? I'll tell you two things: structure and flexibility. Now, that human resource person in particular does not know how to manage their bosses or their MD and CEOs, because working with codes and technology can be very, very time consuming. And there needs to be an understanding. There needs to be a meeting point where deadlines are realistic enough for the techno people or technology people to meet expectations. You know, some HRs can be malevolent, and they will do it on purpose to undermine the work that particular employee is doing. And if that's the case, then I would recommend a disciplinary committee to be held with respect to the human resource practitioner. What I know about the technology space is the tech teams are really, really lean, right? So a tech person will stay at a particular role for the longest, earn bonuses, whatnot, but they won't advance very much in terms of their career. The tech industry, you need to be very, very specific, right? A very lean organogram. And human resources is typically not in the equation because all the tech people report to an expert. But when it comes to them reporting to the human resource, that's now I can understand why potentially it can be toxic. But still, yet I would egg on the employees to understand their rights within the labor laws and act on it. They should act on it. People should not be afraid to speak up. They're working for a living, not slaving for it. And it needs to be understood. It needs to be understood and communicated properly. Well, there are ways to do that. I know that the labor unions are quite active in making those kinds of solutions, and making those kinds of taking those matters up really. There was an incident, right? A company that I'm managing. So the labor union of that organization, they shut down the whole place because they weren't being treated fairly, and to an extent they got what they wanted and everyone is happy now, but it doesn't have to get to that. Really.
My question now is, how do you measure the level of success of a company's culture?
HR analytics is one answer. This is also where the utility of line managers come into play. Because, as is the popular saying, people don't quit jobs, they quit bad bosses. If you want something practical, the HR should meet with the line managers periodically to assess overall organizational objectives and how the line managers are aligning their employees to that objective. That's one way to measure culture, right? The effectiveness of the culture. Surveys can be done. I know I've done work-life balance surveys, burnout surveys, compensation and benefit surveys, right? To see whether the general climate and mood of the organization is at a level where people can do their best work. And then if it's not, you go back to the drawing board, back to your CEO. Sir, ma'am, this is what we found out. If we continue like this, our market share is going to plummet. Hence, I recommend you do X, Y, Z. Or you could even say, and I'm making jokes at this point, let's have yoga at the office for one day. you know? People need that. Let's have a PlayStation at the office. We'll play PlayStation on Friday, you know? There's also a recommendation where businesses say, oh, buy our stocks, you know, they give employees stock options. But then again, I wouldn't really recommend stock options, because if anything happens to the organization, your life savings and your earnings are in jeopardy. So I wouldn't recommend as an economic move to invest stocks in a particular company if the option is presented to you. I think there are more practical things to do. Yeah.
Most companies feel like if you buy their stocks, you'll be investing to the company. Like, you won't want the company to fail, so it's more like a win-win for them.
Yeah. There's that, but I've read too many papers on companies going down under immediately after they started to offer stock options. It depends on the industry as well. I mean, banks, they can do that, but other industries, I don't really recommend.